What is up, guys? I honestly really did not want to talk about this at all, but I spent over 2 hours watching it. I might as well try to get something out of it. Also, one of my homeboys, my buddies, the last video that you saw, Nevin, he told me to watch this. Next time I see him, I kind of want to punch him in his face, dude. I'm telling you right now, YouTube, he is my friend, so it's a joke. It's a joke. I don't know how people like Nerd Erotic and Drinker and Mauler, they could sit down and analyze this stuff. These guys have the best attention spans. I will tell you, I didn't understand what was going on at all throughout the last 3 episodes. I'm not gonna keep watching it because after episode 3, no one else is gonna watch this piece of garbage. And I would like to say, before we even get into it, I know I am a nerd. I'm a nerdy guy. I dedicated my left arm to a goddamn fictional guy who thinks he's a spider. Who doesn't think he's a spider? He has a power of a spider, which sounds really stupid when you break it down like that. But yeah, I really like Spider-Man in the MCU, but I've never really been a sci-fi guy. Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, not really into it. I'm open to watching them maybe one day. My wife did get me into Firefly. I think it was really enjoyable, but I do see a lot of inspirations from Star Wars and Aliens. I think Aliens is awesome, but I've only seen the first 2. I own the first 4. I know 3 is David Fincher, which is one of my favorite directors, but he absolutely hates that movie, so I don't even know if it's worth watching it. But yes, Acolyte. My wife is actually a much more bigger fan of Star Wars than I am, and this is really embarrassing. I have not seen the prequels until a month ago. But funny enough, Star Wars is such a strong brand that I do have nostalgia of that era without even like watching a single film. I grew up with the Obi-Wan Kenobi game because we had an Xbox and I was an Xbox exclusive. Every single weekend, Cartoon Network was pushing the Clone Wars like constantly. I just seen that animation just so many times. I haven't really watched an episode. I just remember seeing it in nearly every single commercial. One Christmas, my mother got me, what is it? Is it Dark Plagueis, the dude with the 4 arms, I believe? She gave me his Lego set. I used to build that thing so many times. One of my first gifts as a kid was a red lightsaber, and I believe that was when Phantom Menace came out, because I was around 3 at that time. Remember those lightsaber spoons? Dude, there's so many things. But like, I understand like the nostalgia of Star Wars. So when I see it, I do get that feeling. I did see the original ones not until I got into high school, because I've been told that like the re-editions sucked, especially from Jeremy Johns, a lot of his propaganda. So when I was in high school, I had access to a VHS player. Went to my local library. I rented all 3 of them, watched them. I just went, didn't really care for it at all, and I just didn't watch the prequels because I just heard they were terrible. But my wife sat me down, she showed me all of them through sequential order from 1 to 6, and I really enjoyed all of them. I think every single one does have like really glaring bad issues. The Empire Strikes Back is the best out of all 6 of them. Out of the prequels, Phantom Menace was boring as hell. It's just Senate meeting after Senate meeting after Senate meeting. But the pod racing and the Darth Maul fight, awesome, perfect. But the stupid thing with Obi-Wan, and then it goes to episode 3 with the high ground. That thing doesn't really make any sense because Darth Maul had the high ground. I don't know, but you could get into that in some other video. Episode 3 is absolutely the best. I have heard that Attack of the Clones is the worst one. Everyone hates it incessantly. I kind of enjoyed it. I think I had fun with it because I watched it right after Phantom Menace, and that was just really boring. But I can say Clone Wars, it's convoluted. The acting is absolutely terrible. The plot doesn't really make any sense. The romance is forced. Man, the CGI did not age well. George Lucas, oh man, 2002 was not up to the task. I know it came out when Two Towers came out, but bro, yeah, the thing that he was envisioning, yeah, it does not look good today. Only Disney Star Wars films that I saw was episode 7, 8, and Rogue One, and all of them I just went, meh, I really didn't care about them at all. So I really haven't been invested in Star Wars at all throughout my entire life. My friend Nevin, he convinced me to watch the show, and I just been hearing how terrible it was, but Nevin came up to me, he was like, oh man, The Acolyte, it was amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I've been hearing the complete opposite. But he said he was convinced because he went to Disneyland a few weeks prior and he got immersed in the world, and so it made him really like The Acolyte. So I guess there's some type of weird propaganda going in there. So if you go to Disneyland and you go and watch any of their products, I guess it makes you like them. That's probably why they still generate some type of money from that company, because I don't know who the hell else is watching this stuff. And the reason I wanted to talk about this would be more interesting because a lot of people are breaking it down and seeing how bad it is, but it's all from like a really deep lore and understanding of Star Wars and people who deeply care about it. For me, who was just like, I'm kind of like I don't know if I would say if I'm a tourist, but I'm saying I kind of do like Star Wars. I think it's really cool. And with The Acolyte, with the identity politics and the wokeness aside, it is just boring, man. There is nothing there. It tries to be this really compelling murder mystery, but it's just terrible writing. And I know, and the reason why a lot of people hate, and I myself just really despise the identity politics, because they use like colored people and colored people and people of color, the exact same thing. They use colored people and women, and they use them as human meat shields, because as when people come out and say, hey, this product, it's dog shit, they'll just come out and say, you just hate women, you just don't like X, Y, and Z race, you're just an istophobe. And it's happened time and time and time again. That's the only reason why they lace all these people up with jobs. It's so they could use them as shields for criticism. And it's really gross and disgusting. But man, I don't know why people are trying to defend this show. It is boring. It's uninspiring. No one's watching it. Wouldn't you want to support a good show that has black people in it? Is this the best you can do? Is this it? Lesbians in space? That scene was so goddamn cringy. You know what the scene I'm talking about.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Everyone has talked about all the ins and outs of how terrible it was. I was trying to pay attention, and I was practicing my guitar in all 3 episodes. I was just practicing something, and I'll look up and I'll just see the credits. It just said director Leslie Headland. I'm like, oh, it's over? I have no idea what happened at all. There are shows that I could sit down and work on something if I'm building like a little magic gimmick, or if I'm practicing a card trick. Like my wife and I are going through The Simpsons right now. I can pay attention and understand everything that's going on. This show, it takes so much intense focus that if you avert your attention for 2 seconds, you're going to be absolutely lost, because there's no logic to anything that's sequential or anything that is cohesive. I don't even know how people make fun of it, because there's not much to make fun of just how just stale and bland and lifeless everything is. The only really good parts of it are the Asian dude from Squid Games. Respectfully, he learned the English language just to do this show, but it's not going to be worth it. Maybe he's going to get more roles from learning English and could be in more American movies, because you can see he's the one trying absolutely the most, and everything else, it feels like everyone just doesn't want to be there. And yeah, I get the vibe watching it. What is it called? I think there's a room called like the volume room, where they have these 3-dimensional background. No, it's these 2-dimensional backgrounds, and there's like a technology to make it look like it's 3D, but it's not CGI. Yeah, it's glaringly obvious that a lot of these shots are on a soundstage, and it does not look good. And the point I wanted to make was that I believe I heard this from Critical Drinker, or a podcast he was doing. Disney is creating this anti-entertainment where the only value that you get from it is just parodying it over and over again. Disney's only relevant because they're just terrible with everything. That's the only reason why their name is in anyone's mouth. No one's watching it. No one is really going out there and wanting to watch Star Wars. People just want to know, how bad can it get?
A diverse woman in it, make it tame.
But Mrs. Kennedy, Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck baby deer, put a chicken in, make her gay.
And it keeps sinking lower and lower and lower. And people just don't understand why is this happening and how can they survive all of this. We don't know. It's the ESG money is just flowing in nonstop. And it is allowing them to keep the lights on for a little bit. I know the parks, that's where they get a lot of their money, but I don't know how people are still going there without the content to keep up. It has to be people just getting that dopamine hit of watching Toy Story 2 over and over again, because that is a great movie. The Toy Story series is one of my favorite. But man, I just don't buy anything from Disney at all in the last 3 years. The way how I watched The Acolyte, that was a friend's login. I am not giving them money at all. The last MCU or Disney related thing I saw was, it's technically Spider-Man No Way Home, but I think Sony receives most of that money. So it would have to be Shang-Chi, and that was 3 years ago. I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, I have given them money by buying something from a company that they own some part of stake in. Anything directly, I do not give it to them. I know this show has been talked to death nonstop, but yeah, I am not going to continue watching it. It is boring. There's nothing there. And yes, it's just lesbians in space. Like, haven't you guys been doing the same exact thing? Just skipping out all the movies, saving your money, and just watching Nerd Erotic, Mauler, and all these other ones, Critical Drinker, just rip these movies apart and break them down. It's just way more content, way more entertaining and it's actually free to do that than actually going out and watching these movies out in the theaters or watching and paying a subscription to these services. It is so weird that that's how the transfer of wealth is happening right now. It's that the counterculture of just making fun of all this garbage. And it is absolutely shifting the culture to show and see that we just want good content. If you make it, people go and pay good money for it. If you make terrible content, we're just going to keep making fun of it over and over and over again. And I guess that's Disney thinks that's the only way they could get attention, is just destroying their own properties and pissing out their fan bases. Honestly don't know what you get out of just showing people that you took a boys brand and you made it to a female brand and made it completely nearly unprofitable. And I guess you get feminist bragging rights, but honestly, that is not worth much to most people in this world. But yeah, guys, that's for me. And let me know what you think. Should I talk about more stuff like this? Because you could tell I'm a huge movie. Well, you can't really tell. It's mostly Spider-Man stuff around me. But I have like Dexter and Fight Club and all these other movies. I really want to review like magic related movies. I think that would be fun on a channel. There's a movie called Slight. If you ever heard of it, I've been wanting to see it. It's like 8 years old at this point. But yeah, I might do that for fun. And I don't know, it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.